Here we go. It is Chicken Dinner live on a Thursday night from Chicago at 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. You knew we'd be here for the people. It's going to be a different show today. It's going to be a shorter version because I am on the road. Don't have my setup, as you can tell, not exactly in my home office, but that doesn't stop the information from coming to you on a Thursday. In 5 minutes from now or less, Corby's going to join us. Corby's on location. I'm on location. And then from the Deep Dive podcast, it'll be Andy Molitor and Drew Dinsick at about 7:20 Eastern. You know the drill on the show. We're here for you every Thursday leading up to Thursday Night Football. You actually have a pretty decent game today, at least in terms of enticement. There's a lot of appetite for Minnesota as a short road favorite. And there's also on the other side of the field, a team that's probably fighting for its season in the Los Angeles Rams. And as you know, Cooper Kupp back in the fold. Lots of angles to discuss. Can't wait to break those games down, or that game down, rather, with Andy and Drew coming up in about 20 minutes from now. I have gone, apparently, according to the BetQL network, I have gone viral on TikTok for a conversation we had on our morning show about Patrick Mahomes against Lamar Jackson. Okay, don't have a TikTok, never going to get a TikTok. But these conversations that we have on the show get clipped and posted, and you never know what's going to hit and what's not. I have said, and those of you that follow me on Twitter know that I think the MVP race is so obviously not centered around Patrick Mahomes this year, but everybody that bleeds Kansas City red or loves Mahomes or hates Lamar just keeps throwing daggers. You know, Patrick Mahomes has 6 touchdown passes and 8 picks. Oh, but they're 6-0. Yeah, okay. Lamar Jackson had 5 touchdowns on Monday night. Lamar Jackson is doing things that no other quarterback is doing this season. It's not to say Mahomes isn't awesome. I think Mahomes is the most dangerous quarterback in the NFL. But to date, it's not even close. And finally, we saw an adjustment with the odds. Mahomes was the favorite for the last month. Didn't really do much statistically. And it is, don't get it twisted, it's a statistical award, or at least it has been. A really good player from a really good team. I'm not doubting his abilities, and I'm not going to bet against him in the playoffs. But the argument that, oh, well, he's got Super Bowl rings and he's won MVPs before in the Super Bowl and, oh, they're 6-0, doesn't matter. We're talking about the MVP this season, and we finally have a new favorite. That's Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying bet Lamar. I'm not saying bet Mahomes. If anybody, I think there's a guy you really got to think about. That's Joe Burrow. If they can get hot, that would be the next shoe, I think, to drop. And we've talked about this on the show. We talked about Josh Allen at 8-1 in week 2. He went down to 2-1. We talked about Lamar 20-1. Now he's looking at the board right now, 250, 230, 240. You don't want to bet these guys at those prices, either of them. However, if Cincinnati can get hot like they did the year they went to the Super Bowl and go, 11-6 or 10-7, and Burrow throws 40 touchdowns and saves their season, he's going to get a lot of love. Joe Burrow, you can find an 18-1 in the market. You always got to bet these guys at the right prices. I'm not saying bet Lamar or bet Josh Allen or bet Patrick Mahomes. It was just fascinating to me that after 6 weeks of okay football, not even good football, Mahomes was the favorite to win the MVP. Oh, they're undefeated. Stop with the undefeated. And then one person said, well, if Mahomes was on Baltimore, he'd have better numbers than Lamar. We just make shit up as we go sometimes to try and convince ourselves that we're right. So I thought that was really funny that I went viral on TikTok. I'm 35 years old. I don't have TikTok. Come on. Before we get to Corby, I wanted to show this, and I'm very, very pleased. We cracked 1,000 subscribers on YouTube in a month. That might not sound like a big number to you, but for somebody starting something from scratch and doing the show on video for the first time ever, this podcast has been around since 2016, but this is the first 8 episodes on video. Cracked 1,000 subscribers and over 10,000 views and countless hours of video. So thank you for being a part of this. And it really does. When you start something from scratch, you never know if it's going to hit, if people actually care, if people are going to watch, and you're still piling into the conversation right now at 7:05 Eastern, getting ready for Corby and for Andy and Drew. So thank you for being a part of this. And we will do this every week, plus the videos with Adam Chernoff, with Kenny White, and with John Murray, who has suddenly gotten hot in the NFL. I think we're both 5-2 with our best bets on Fridays that we do here on Chicken Dinner. So that about does it for the elementary stuff and the introductory stuff. Let's bring in Corby, who is joining. Oh, I thought you were going to be from a remote location.
Yeah, you said earlier, so I'm good. If I was gonna have to do it late, I was gonna leave dinner to come do this. So no, you caught me before I had to leave.
Oh, I was hoping that I would be in a different location in Chicago. You would be in a different location, and then like Andy and Drew would be in a pool somewhere in Vegas. Not that they're going to be there. So you have been awesome this season in college football, and I got a couple texts from the squad. You know, we got the group threads and everything, and the one guy said Corby did it again. You gave 3 totals last week, and they all hit. And
yes, sir.
I know that we don't dwell or focus that much on the past. We look ahead, but it's got to feel good to come on the show and give a 3-0, like bang, bang, bang. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. They were all pretty easy too. So I feel good that like, let's just say someone couldn't shop me at the best price. Like it's not like we're just like sniping best price 57.5 and it's ending 56. So I think the Vandy game ended 38. We had under 58, so that's plenty fine. It felt good. Like they all were good looks. I don't think we got lucky in any of them. It's kind of been the season, so feel pretty good. 3 more this week. 3 this week's gonna be tough. I think one's gonna be a side, Sammy. And I know how you feel about it.
You no sides. We've ruled out sides. You even say you're not good at sides.
No, we should rule them out. I'll convince you.
You said on the show you're not good at sides.
I do. I still agree with myself there. But I also sometimes
give a side.
You know, it's like the little angel and the little devil. He's like, you should do it. And
have you seen the Jordan Love meme where he's got Aaron Rodgers on this shoulder and Brett Favre on the other? And the meme is Rodgers is saying, throw it away. And the Favre meme says, fuck it, tear it up, throw it through triple coverage.
He is one of one, certainly. One thing, while you were talking, I'm curious your opinion on this. While you're talking, we both know I don't dabble in the NFL that much, but just scrolling through FanDuel while you were talking about the MVP, you can go NFL draft, which is obviously much more like the NFL-esque version of what I would pay attention to. And I see a whole bunch of quarterbacks at the top of the list that are not NFL caliber players, especially year one, especially first overall pick. Obviously, they're going to get bought up. But on FanDuel right now, you can buy first overall pick, the field versus quarterback plus 180, which sounds like an insane price to me. I mean, the only quarterback I think is worthy of a number one pick maybe is Shador. And prices kind of reflect that plus 450, but plus 180 to get the field. Like I think Travis Hunter obviously is the talk. McMillan, I think, is going to be an NFL caliber receiver. JNT's great. 2 offensive linemen, great. There's a defensive end, Jack Sawyer from Ohio State. Like, I don't see this being a quarterback game. I think plus 180 is good. You have any opinion on the draft?
I think teams are going to fall for Carson Beck, man. I don't know what it is about him. I don't even really like him that much. I'm not high on him relative to some other people that I talk to. Yeah, Shador is the favorite, about 375. Cam Ward 5-1, Hunter 550, Carson Beck 12, Ewers 12, Milroe 15, Michael Williams 16, Jackson Dart 20, Nussmeier 20, Will Campbell 22, Mason Graham 25. And the guy that I really like coming into the season, and his stock has come down a bit, but we know and we've seen these edge guys get super hyped closer to the draft. James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee.
Yep. 100%.
At 25-1. I thought he was going to be a guy that would be in that single digit range all season, but it's a quarterback league. Every playoff team that makes a run has a quarterback for the most part. And I've always thought this and realized this. Like, let's go to last year, championship weekend in the NFL. You had Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Mahomes, and Lamar. You got 4 pretty good quarterbacks. So there's such a pedestal to take these quarterbacks number 1 overall, and you start to get the pressure. I wonder, too, what happens if Carolina gets the number 1 pick. I mean, they've got to go quarterback, right? They have to turn the page yet again after drafting Bryce Love 2 drafts ago. Not last draft, the draft before that, and they would probably do it all over again.
Yeah, I have theory on drafts, and I think they're it's not right. Like obviously they have analysts that know way more than me, but if I'm Carolina, there's no way I get another quarterback. Like the incremental increase in Bryce Young versus, let's say, Cam Ward, I don't think is worth enough. Like at some point, you can't have a bad quarterback and a good team. Like you named all those teams, the 49ers have every piece in the world to make Brock Purdy good. That's why Brock Purdy is good. So if I'm the Panthers, I go with somebody like a Will Campbell. Like at some point, you have to protect the quarterback that you have, or he's never going to be able to do anything. But
the problem is the Panthers are stupid. That's the problem.
This is very true.
It's a stupid organization. So
they should hire us, Sammy.
No, they hired Eric Eager, who's like us, and I think
true.
he's helping build some of the metricals there. All right, I know you're on a window, and I got the boys coming on in 10 minutes, so let us pull up the board and look at some college football games before we get to your picks. And you got 3 totals. I'm not letting you give a side on the show.
I'm gonna have to find a different bet then.
All right. You got time. That's why I'm punting.
That'll be fun.
I want to ask you about 175 and 176. And we've heard the same things all week about Milroe. You brought it to my attention first, that Milroe clearly is nowhere near, forget 100%. Nobody's 100%. I don't think he's anywhere near 80%. And you're starting to hear rumors about him not being able to drive and throttle throws forward and get downfield. He's probably going to play. I'm not going to say that he's not going to go. But we saw the report late last night from Pete Thamel. Ironically enough, of all people, Pete has been saying everybody's a game time decision all year. He could play, he could not play. Thamel, as I'm trying to dig around Brady Cook from Missouri, drops a bomb on Wednesday night that Brady Cook is unlikely to play. That is Missouri's starting quarterback. And this total at Circa opened, I want to say, let's see, down to 56. The bottom, 58.5 it opened.
Jesus.
Yeah, 58.5. Now we're sitting 51. And I know that it's not fun and not exactly the greatest idea for us to sit here and talk about a game that's moved 7 points. But is there a reality where it hasn't moved enough if we don't get Cook and Milroe can't drive throws down the field? Like, what is the floor and what should it be?
Yeah, I mean, my floor, it's tough. I bet the 56.5 under. And after it passed 52, I would no longer consider it. I would say like no Cook, Milroe, let's say 60%. The issue is I think Milroe's a really bad quarterback. Like the fact that he even has odds for first overall is crazy to me. So then you get a bad quarterback who no longer can scramble, and it makes him really bad, or put pressure into a ball. It makes him really bad. I would say like my true number is probably 49. So would you play at 51 if you make the number 49? Probably not. It's still an SEC matchup. It would be tough for me. I would say at 52, I would still be fine with 52.5 probably. I bet the unders early week. No reason to like dive into it. Nobody can really do anything. But I will say, I mean, I think running back 1 is out for Missouri too. I got a few people that asked me, would I play Bama sides? And I mean, it's a hard no for me. Like, yeah, I don't like, even if Milroe is fine, it would be a hard no. I think this Bama team is just bad. I actually bet Bama to miss the playoffs minus 110 earlier today at FanDuel.
And you're a Bama guy. So to say that, I mean, that's not any bias to say, well, they can figure it out or this or that. I mean, I listen to Feinbaum on Mondays now. It's my favorite thing to do. Paul, you don't know what he's doing, Paul. Strike 2, Paul. And they're ready to launch Kalen DeBoer after 7 weeks. I don't think they're going to pay the $70 million buyout this year. But if they slide at the end of this season and start losing early next year, why wouldn't they get rid of him? Yeah, I didn't agree with the move either. I know Cook is looking like he's not going to go, but I wouldn't lay 15, 16 up to 17 with Bama. All right, let's move quick here because I got the boys coming on in 5. Where do you want to start? Give me the rotation number and we'll fire these totals.
Cool. We'll the side would be Texas side 18.5. We won't even talk about it, but that's what the side would have been. Yep. Let's go 177 Charlotte Memphis. I want an over
57.
Yeah. Over 57 is fine. Memphis is a team we all know like has all the firepower in the world. This preseason was like Memphis. They got every transfer possible, and they've really lived down to expectation. Now you see a Charlotte team who is just absolutely trash. The thing that is worth noting, the reason I bet this over, is Charlotte's like had a ton of quarterback issues. QB1 went out, QB2 went out, QB3 is a walk-on. He played for like 3 games. I think QB2 came back. Now QB1 is back. QB1 threw 3 interceptions last week. Looked awful. So this is kind of a thing of like, as you get your guys back, inevitably your offense is going to be better. So I'd say the 57. I think it's a buy low on Memphis, who's just played bad, and a buy low on Charlotte, who hasn't had their starting quarterback.
First of 3 totals. Our guy 3-0 last week with these college football totals is 177. Charlotte, Memphis over 57. Next.
Couldn't have been a more fun game, huh? Just chose the bottom of the barrel. All right, next, let's go to 213. We go with a bad game, we'll go with a worse game, you know?
Oh boy.
Give me the Hawaii, Nevada, what do they call that? The make your money back game of the week.
The chase. Yeah, the chaser.
Yeah, the chase game of the week. Give me the over. I think I can get a 45.
You can get 44 now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we've seen
some. Well, let's call it 44.5 domestic.
That's
I mean,
fine.
There's some 44s offshore, 44s in Vegas, but your sweet spot
off
for a
of
lot
45,
of people
I'm
watching.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, 44.5 MGM, DraftKings, FanDuel. If you have a bet online or a Jazz or a Superbook South Point, you go 44, but let's just call it 44.5.
Cool. Give me the over 44.5. There a few things happened here. First off, Nevada starting quarterback is out, and I'm getting some opposition here. I think it was like 47.5. I got some opposition from some guys I respect a lot, which is always not fun. But I think that they just are pricing in how much Nevada's quarterback matters. Brendan Lewis, he will be out. It's like basically he's like a really hard questionable, but he's going to be out. So Chuba's going to play, who is Nevada's biggest recruit. I got told that he is incapable of throwing a football. I'm not buying it. Or just like a quick stat. I don't really like to talk stats when I'm talking games because like usually stats are priced into the number, but let me just give you like a general consensus of this idea. So Hawaii, in their last 3 games, they scored 5 touchdowns. All 5 of those touchdowns were drives that were longer than 75 yards. Like they didn't get any freebies. They haven't had any freebies to run up their total projections at all. Nevada, over their last 3 games, they've scored 12 touchdowns. 8 of those were over 75 yards. So these are 2 teams who have scored. They've went under their total, and so the market probably regresses them week after week. But they keep getting the ball at the 10-yard line. Like this is a pretty tough situation. Now, I think this is a Hawaii team who, if you've watched them, they'll throw 45 passes. If either of these teams get better field position, we're probably in a decent spot. So I took the over 44.5. I took 45, so plenty fine with 44.5. That's 2 nasty ones, huh?
Should probably unmute myself. I am on location. That's my excuse. 213 over Nevada, Hawaii, 44.5. Before we get to Andy and Drew, one more total from the human calculator, Corbie Craig. Take us to a number.
Let's do it. All right. Where'd we go? We went pretty ugly. We went as ugly as it comes. And then let's just drop it to absolute bottom of the barrel. Sammy, can it get worse than Hawaii, Nevada? It can, and that number would be 128. That is Eastern Michigan versus Akron. I think I can get a 51.
Are we under? We're under, I'm guessing.
We are under, yes.
You can call it 50. Yeah, I mean, you get 51 all over the place. 51.5 at BetMGM.
We'll go 51. That's fine.
51 is fair. 50 at Superbook. 51 at Pinnacle.
Let's call it 51. I took a few things. First off, if you watched football, Akron's offense, I have them power rated as like I think the 115th best offense in the nation. Also, this is a team these are 2 teams that have kind of been in the opposite position of what we just talked about. Hawaii. Akron continues to get good field position and go negative yardage. They get the ball at the 45 4 times last game, their own 45. So all they have to do is go probably 20 yards to be in scoring position, maybe. Let's call it 20 because it's Akron. Negative yardage on all 4 series. This is a team who just can't do anything. So now you get an Eastern Michigan team who we've seen have the ability to run up teams and just not. Like versus UMass, 28-14, they could have probably won that 35-14 pretty easy. Held the brakes as much as they could. Don't care to run up the score. We've seen it a few times now. So Eastern Michigan, out of a rivalry game, I think this game doesn't really matter much. Also, we've seen Eastern Michigan play to pace when they're down. Like a lot of teams have to do this, but Eastern Michigan's well aware, like, hey, we're not good enough to try to limit possessions and just play this game out. Like we need, if we're down, we need to score. Akron is just not a team that I think that they'll be down enough. This is a 3-point spread, so it should be a good game. I don't imagine that they're down too much. Give me the under 51. Akron, Eastern Michigan.
That is the first person on this show all year that has said the Eastern Michigan game will be a good one, and probably the last time.
Let's go. Hey,
all
it's
right.
good if we win. We're trying to go 3-0 back to back. If we go 3-0 again, Sammy, we're gonna have to change the name. You're gonna
start selling picks if you go 3-0 again. That's my gut feeling.
I don't know what we're gonna change the name to, but I'm gonna protest. We'll change the logo for a day. I'm just gonna put a Corby T-shirt on the chicken for a day if we go back to back 3-0s.
All right, buddy. Thanks for being flexible today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me.
All right, that's Corbie Craig. He signs off. Let's bring in the very handsome and the very lovely co-host of the Deep Dive podcast with his purple. No, not purple. Is that a lavender quarter zip, Andy Molitor?
It's like a lilac.
Lilac.
It's the lilac.
I got to get my eyes checked here.
It's like a fuchsia. It's a fuchsia.
The whale capper. What's up, boys?
How we doing? Great to be on.
Well.
Thank you for having us.
I landed at Midway Airport at 4:30 local time and got out here to be a part of this. So it's been definitely something that I'm doing a little backwards today. Usually I do my spiel in the beginning and then bring the guests on, but it's all in good fun. And you guys have both been on the show individually, but I thought it would be, because I don't know if we're ever going to do that WinBet show at Encore Boston Harbor, given how things have unfolded.
It's a long flight. And that too, yeah.
Well, I mean, for other reasons too, not just the flight, but you've both been on by yourselves, and I thought it'd be fun to put it together. And when I gave you the list of games or the list of Thursdays, you both chimed in with, let's do Vikings-Rams. That's going to be much better than the Saints game last week.
That was a tough hang. There's still some primetime games to get through. We still got the Germany game, man. Like Machine Gun Kelly's the highlight of that game. That's what
the halftime show last week. Andy, you were outside for some reason, like in the backyard, and Drew's like, "Well, what are we gonna do?" And you're like, "I don't like anything." trying to put lipstick on a second half pig, Drew.
I know some of those. It's like, shit, do we like anything? Honestly, the Denver bet was one of our best bets. We've had a couple of stinkers. It's been a good year at half times, but the Denver bet was pretty good.
Denver was very solid, and that one was one we came to pretty quick and got a good. I got a good size bet down on, so I was pretty happy.
Times we've just been like, what do you got, chat? Anybody got a prop? And we'll play like a prop. The chat loves to suggest third quarter unders. Like there's always somebody that's like third quarter under. All right, I can go with that.
So I saw the email today, Andy. You were talking about the under 48, and clearly you got a good number. I'm looking at Pinnacle right now, 46.5, circa 46.5. It's come through the 47, which I'm sure you'd love to see. I don't know if you expected it to cross through 47, but what was the handicap on the under 47?
Yeah, a lot of it was just the Minnesota's defense maybe being a little underrated after giving up some yards to, I don't know, the best non-Ravens offense we've seen. Like that's a really tough defense or offense to game plan for. This is a lot different even with Kupp and Nakua back. I don't know that either guy gets full snaps. Like they should be able to run some. They should be able to find the tight end, but this is not a full strength offense by any means. So I expect it to be a little slower. And if Minnesota gets out to the lead and we get that game state where they can let Aaron Jones eat, I think Aaron Jones kind of eats. I've seen his prop number go up as well. I got in a little bit on that, but then I'm like, I should go back for more. And then you go look and it's jumped up a few yards. Like, maybe we're fine. Maybe we're fine on that. Make some SGPs. But if it does turn into that, it's just across the board. Every stat that I use for running defense for the Rams is bad. And I know they've had some pieces missing, but it isn't like they're going to plug in a couple pieces here and there. And suddenly it's a top 10 run defense. It is a bad run defense. Minnesota should be able to salt it away with the lead. I guess for Drew's sake, hopefully that who's the backup? Who's the backup to? I don't even know who the backup quarterback is right now for this team.
For the Rams, isn't it Stetson Bennett?
It might be Stetson.
No, he's inactive tonight.
Oh, well, I mean, he's been inactive his whole career, for the record.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe it'll just be Stafford staying. And I was going to joke about the backup throwing a garbage touchdown, but Stafford getting you inside the number. Oh, my God.
Oh, Jimmy G's healthy again? Good
yeah, he's the backup now. He's off suspensions. His performance-enhancing suspension is over.
I forgot.
So he's back. He's back
that.
as the backup. Yeah.
Oh,
Andy, let me ask you: are you worried about the kiss of death of game day totals team so far this year?
Oh my God!
How much that under has moved. NFL totals game day team has been getting obliterated so far through 8 weeks?
Yeah. Hey, Puka Nakua's in. Hey, guess what? There's an extra wide receiver weapon. Yeah. What if we drop the points 2.5? Like, hey, good. The Hawkinson news. I guess I was leaning like 75-25 that he plays. A little surprising. They did activate him. It was the last day for them to do that. He's going to 100% play next week because it was either that or IR for the year. But he'll play next week. Between that and Nakua being in, I guess I was surprised that this dropped this far. I guess some money came in, some game day money, and yeah, it is the kiss of death. So 48-46 Vikings, I guess, is the final we see here.
Well, I don't know what's worse, given the way that we talk about a lot of things, and a lot of the conversations I start are college football quarterbacks. Every backup this year has been better than the starter somehow in the games that, well, not everyone, but a lot of them, including my. Yeah, you've had right. I mean, you get a lot of them, but I mean, the one that still just blew me was when we found out that the UNLV kid was quitting on the team, and I started telling some of the boys, and some people would respond like, that can't be real. And he leaves the team, and then the backup comes in, and they scored almost 60 points. Like, okay, I guess that's how we're going to play it. It's been a weird year, and you guys know me. I'm a dog guy. I was in first place in my Chicago contest, NFL Pick 5. I was in the top 30 in Circa Million, and then the last 2 weeks I've gone 2-8 because I haven't picked a single favorite, and I'm just getting destroyed. I think we were all on Dallas against Detroit. It's been a 2-week stretch where these favorites have just been rolling, which, as we know, it builds these favorites. I mean, we got 3 double-digit favorites this week. You guys find yourself on any of these ugly dogs?
Man, it's so tough. I show value on all of them. My numbers say bet them all.
My biggest value is Detroit.
Yeah. Same.
Situationally, it doesn't feel like a game they're going to get up for between the Minnesota and the Green Bay games. It's like, hey, let's go beat the shit out of an AFC team and really prove our point. So that one really sucks to try to talk yourself into laying 11.5 now.
The problem with that one too is Calvin Ridley looks like he's going to be a healthy. I don't feel like practicing for Tennessee. They just ship Hopkins, so they don't have maybe necessarily the weapons in the passing game to take advantage of the Detroit's weaknesses. So really tough to get involved with Tennessee. I guess if one gross dog covers, I'd probably guess it's Cleveland, just because you have Jameis Winston back there, who I think is probably going to air it out. Baltimore's pass defense has been pretty unimpressive so far through 7 weeks, and that could be because of the opposing quarterbacks, but it could also be because they stink. And I think that
Humphrey's hurt now.
And then, you have, you got rid of Amari Cooper, but Jameis Winston got all of his camp reps and all of his backup reps with the guys he's going to be throwing to. So I don't know that I really think that Baltimore should be laying that big of a number in division, but at the same time, Jameis Winston throws a pick 6 on the first drop back, and you're like, why did I do this?
Oh, I know. We can't think like that, though. We have to bet the numbers. And
what have I done?
It was Tuesday morning. Joe O and I on the morning show were saying we have to take 10 with Cleveland. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, you have to take 10. I don't want to do it, though. I said, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But we should really think about taking 10 points. And you look at the board now, it's 8.5 Circa, 8.5 Superbook. It's coming off the 9 offshore. A couple 8.5s are popping. Pinnacle still hanging at 9. I know you guys don't really you guys don't bet narratives, you bet numbers, and you both do your power ratings, and you've been doing them for years. But is there something to be said about that Cleveland team where, to me at least, it's been obvious that Haslam, the owner, has been making Stefanski play Watson? So is there any truth to the narrative that they're just going to air this shit out? And in Ken Dorsey, who obviously passes more than most offensive coordinators, he did it in Buffalo. In fact, he probably passed too much. Are we just going to see Texas Tech air raid from Cleveland and get up and down the field?
I'd love to see it. I think the over is a good bet. That's obviously gone up for a good reason.
Yeah.
I think that the pass blocking unit for Cleveland has been an absolute disaster unmitigated disaster in 2024, mostly due to injury. They get healthier.
But I think Watson plays a part. He plays a
Watson plays a part in that.
Scrambling is awful.
That's surely. But they're getting healthier. Like the guys that matter are starting to get practice reps. They're starting to get a little bit of kind of continuity there. So the pass blocking should be good. The pass defense for Baltimore is susceptible. And yeah, you're right. Dorsey does love to air it out. So I could see it happening for sure. And I don't know, man, like I still have like scars from last year. Like I laid it with Baltimore against Seattle. They like win 37-3 or something, make it look like they could do it skating backwards. It was such an easy, sweat-free win. And then I go back to the well and I'm like, man, Watson's stinking. Brown's coming to town. They're only laying 6. So laid 6 with the Ravens in that one. And the Browns came with some attitude. They showed up for that game. Like they played up in that game and they played hard in the second half. I want to say they came back and won. If not winning, they definitely covered the number, because I remember pulling my hair out like, how did this not win? They were up 13 or something at one point. What happened? And so Cleveland does definitely take these matchups against Baltimore more seriously. And I think the fact that you might get a shot in the arm with the change of quarterback is a real potential narrative here. But it's also worth noting, like Cleveland still has some vets and some really good players on defense. Like they haven't been playing great this year, but they've been in horrible situations and losing time of possession like by margin. So
you made this case for Miami, Drew. Like I said,
yeah.
I have this big upgrade in quarterback, massive, mostly because of who you're upgrading from. But I said you almost got to give it a little extra bump because of what it does for a good offense and a good team. The rising tide lifts all
the vibes factor.
The vibes factor too. Just like, oh shit, we got a real quarterback and Tua back. So I'm saying all this for Miami, and I got to thinking about it as I'm saying out loud. Like, man, am I just describing the Cleveland situation too? Because we're anchored so hard to like Deshaun Watson not being, terrible. But if you look at his just EPA, adjusted EPA, every quarterback metric you want, he's like bottom 3 in the nation. Like we're talking college football. So I mean, let's just say Jameis Winston is an average quarterback, and I think we can get average play out of him this year. This is like upgrading from Brissett or Minshew to like Herbert, Lawrence. I mean, the guys who are in the middle of the pack right now, Love, Lawrence, even Caleb. Like, it's kind of a massive upgrade to Jameis. Maybe I'm downplaying how much I should actually be upgrading this team, and obviously the Amari Cooper thing has to play a factor in that too. But I'm kind of thinking about this, and I think obviously the market is saying Cleveland, it's going that way, but we talk about the variance and the oopsie factor from Jameis. Maybe some other ways to attack this are like Jameis to lead the Sunday slate in passing. It's 12-1 for this to be the highest scoring game of the week. Cleveland to be the highest scoring team is like 60-1. If you really want to get weird and you think like he's going to have him and Ken Dorsey, that was a great point by Sam. You saw a really big shift when they went to Brady, like the running and passing basically flipped each other on the chart. So, I mean, if it turns into a weird game like that, there's some fun numbers on the Browns if you want to get wild with it. 12-1 highest scoring Sunday game is kind of a fun one.
Ooh, I love that.
So you said get wild. I got wild. One of my accounts is going to log in and see my pendings on Sunday and go, oh no, because I have a dime on Cleveland money line and a nickel on a Cleveland and Indianapolis money line parlay to win about 6,000 or something like that. Is it going to win? Probably not. But man, I'm hoping we get the Jameis Winston who came out of the chute after LASIK, and not the Jameis we got pre-LASIK. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
I want crab leg Jameis. I want wild man Jameis.
Yeah, just turn it up. It's been so bad to watch. Would you guys rather, whoever wants to take this first, by all means? I got 2 3-point favorites that I wish I could get to, but I can't, and I'll probably just stay away. One of them is Buffalo going to Seattle. I think that's a good spot for Buffalo, and I did have Seattle. That was one of my few winners last week in the NFL. So I took Seattle +3, Miami +3. Miami, I was ready to jump off my roof after McDaniel handed the ball to Alec Ingold on the third down. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, can we stop with the Alec Ingold? All right, so would you rather do Buffalo -3 or, well, let's come off the 3. Let's call it Cincinnati. Well, you're going to say 2.5. Let's just pretend Cincinnati's still 3 and Buffalo is 3 on the road. Bills or Bengals? Which one do you like more?
I can't say I support either of those.
I was going to say, I think we both. I don't remember if you were with me on Philly or not, but I played both dogs.
Yeah, I guess,
and I didn't take the point to Philly.
I put Philly was one of my first bets of the week, and I gotta tell you, I've cooled on it just because, like, when the market is this sure that you're going to get a play up from Cincy, which is what you have to be like. Sometimes when you have a discrepancy in price, and you can't square it with that look, with the market ratings, you can't square it with what the look aheads were or anything like that. Like, you're looking at 2.5 for Cincy there. I think, as somebody in the market is literally betting that with the assumption that this is a play up for Cincinnati, because if Cincinnati plays like they did the last 2 weeks, Philadelphia is running them off the field. Cincinnati's defense is not fixed. Cincinnati's offense is very inconsistent. Joe Burrow hasn't played a good games in like 3 weeks, and he's only had 2 good games all season out of the 6 he's played. So, expecting that he's just all of a sudden going to flip the switch is asking a lot, I think. And yeah, like, when you have this big of a discrepancy, sometimes it's like the Detroit Dallas game, and you're just like, hey man, somebody was betting Detroit saying like, hey, this is a playoff spot for this team. And it seems to me, at least, like somebody's betting Cincinnati like this is a playoff spot for them, because otherwise this should have drifted closer to a pick 'em. I don't know anyone or any way to make a number for this game that doesn't say Philadelphia is at least equal to Cincinnati on a neutral, if not slightly better.
So you're both Philly, yeah?
Yes, but very cool on it, because obviously somebody has a strong opinion on this. Who matters?
And it feels like the opposing doing the Apple research on that. The angle would be, we've seen Burrow have a couple good games. He can do it. They're healthier. The wide receivers are there at this point in the season. It's a secondary can attack. So, and I think that makes me feel better about not taking the points. Because either Philly just runs the ball and trucks this team out of the stadium, or they lose. And they lose by giving up a bunch of points. And then you can't be running the ball and trying to catch up. You are going to have to put it on Hurts, which I don't love. So I don't love them trying to stay inside a small number. It's like either they run the ball and my narrative works and it's 200 yards again for Saquon, or Philly is like, I guess it's panic button if you lose this one. It's kind of a weird spot because it's too early for that. But I mean, in the NFC, I guess maybe there isn't a panic button. There's not enough good teams.
I haven't gotten involved with either game. I thought about Buffalo and just decided to cross him off then and move on. And look, maybe I'm hedging against my preseason priors on Philly and my preseason Eagles to win division, conference, Saquon offensive player of the year. Maybe I'm just emotionally hedging myself by taking Cincy, I guess, or looking that way. I was high on Philly before the season and clearly haven't played to their level yet, but they've had a bunch of injuries on that offensive side of the ball. I'm curious where you guys view Chicago. Not this week, but just big picture. I know you've looked at their schedule. Holy shit, guys. After they play the Patriots, that schedule is – war is maybe an understatement. It's just a battle royale or a gauntlet of all gauntlets. I mean, they play – I don't have it in front of me. I'll pull it up in a second.
It's the toughest remaining schedule.
It's so they play the Patriots at the end of November, and then all right, might as well just pull it up now. I mean, it's mostly they play every NFC North team, and I think it gives Caleb a good opportunity to show what he can do and maybe continue to close that gap against Jaden Daniels. But that Bears schedule, man, from that Patriot game forward, here it is. So they play on November 10th. They play the Patriots at home. Then it's home against the Packers, home against the Vikings, at the Lions, at the Niners, at the Vikings. Wait a minute. At Lions, at Niners, at Vikings in 3 straight weeks. Then home against the Lions, home against Seattle, at Green Bay to wrap it up. Where are we on Chicago just as a team that was picking first in the draft and now people are talking about them potentially being a playoff team?
All right, let me go first because I got my sim numbers up. I have them getting to just over 9 wins, which is good considering where they are, I think, and how hard their schedule is. Make no mistake, they have the toughest remaining schedule, and they're going to need to continue the progression you've seen from that offense in order to make the playoffs. My probability for them to make the playoffs is 43%. My probability for them to win the North, just under 10%. But I have a non-zero chance that they win the NFC and win the Super Bowl because I think there is upside here, surely. And it's, I guess, overall right now, I have them rated 16th in the NFL. But they're almost a point better than average. I have the defense rated almost 2 points better than average, offense about 1 point worse than average. So I'm holding on to my prior a little bit here for Chicago as far as like I need to see them do it against some good defenses to really kind of upgrade Caleb from the number that is a little bit shaded by what we saw against good defenses earlier in the season. And honestly, I don't even know if they were good defenses now that we kind of have a little more data, but against defenses that can create some pressure. So right now I would say that this is clearly a top 5 defense for the Bears and kind of an offense that's mired in the 20s. And the offense, if they ultimately continue to rise, then we're talking playoffs. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
Still a dog. The price is like plus 175 minus 220. Yes, being plus 175 to make the playoffs.
So I would say yes to that price.
When I looked at them, like, man, if it's like even money for them, I don't know why I thought I'd get a good price because I never do. But I'm like, God, I might have to go against this team if, just looking at I looked at the playoff picture and then I started to go look at prices. And, it's a team I'm probably out on a little because I don't think the offense has a big ramp to get to like top 10. I have them in the 20s. I have the defense as 5th. I do have the defense right now. It's my 5th best defense. The pass rushes. I mean, everything has been better than I thought it would be prior, coming into the season. Very impressed with the defense. But that is harder to repeat week to week. And again, it's like what we've said about our other rookie and Daniels. It's like, he hasn't played a good defense. The Bears have played a tougher schedule defensively, but not by that much. It's still a bunch of spots where, actually Caleb should have looked better. And he has progressed. He's gotten better. I just don't know if it's there this year. And I think some of it's coaching, man. If I'm a Bears fan, you're in a weird quandary because you want him to make the playoffs. I was saying this to somebody. I'm like, how do you get the 7th seed, but also get your head coach fired? Like, that's the idea. You want Eberflus, you want Waldron gone.
That's happened before.
You need him to like make the most boneheaded mistake possible to cost them a playoff win. And it's just like so apparent to everybody. Like the whole world is against him. And they're like, you know what? We can't waste the formative years of Caleb with this offense, this offensive coordinator, this head coach, because that's ideal. Like this is a buy-on team for the next few years for sure.
Well, this would be the second time with the last 5 years or in the last 5 years where they would, if they get rid of Waldron, that would be the second quarterback because they did it with Fields and then they would do it with Caleb, that they gave a coordinator in year 1 and then a new coordinator in year 2, only to be outdone by the Bears giving Trubisky John Fox and then teaching him a new offense with Matt Nagy. Oof. So there's something about coming into Chicago and having no stability last 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah, they've just been bad at hiring coaches since like
Lovey.
maybe Lovey. I was
Ditka.
gonna go back. I was gonna go back to '85. Yeah, I was gonna go way back, but no, it's been a rough patch of that, and it's hard to find good offensive coordinators if you don't hit on the right offensive coordinator, and it doesn't jive, and it does hold your team back. But I think I'll have to run my Sims later tonight. I think I have the Bears as like a probable 7.
Yeah.
Which is fun. I think it's a fun team, and
I think they're a probable 7 right now too.
It'd be a lot of fun just to have the whole North and like that's just a goofy feather in your cap. It's like I feel like an SEC fan.
I
where
feel
it's like cheering for the conference.
It would
for
be cool. But also because they're 4 good teams.
They're all good.
Like
yeah.
we don't have like there's going to be some absolute dog breaths teams that make the AFC playoffs. Like gird your loins for how bad 2-7 is going to be in the playoffs this year in the AFC. It's going to be unwatchable garbage.
I ran some numbers on that stuff. I did some likely ones. There was a decent likelihood that one of the AFC, if not 2 of the AFC wildcard games, are double-digit spreads.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's probably true.
No.
So especially if you get Pittsburgh in. You get Pittsburgh in, they're going to be a huge dog.
And honestly, they're tracking for like the 5 seed. Like we were talking like Denver and Bo Nix on the road in Baltimore, man.
Yeah, I have Bo Nix going to Arrowhead for the 3rd time.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah, Bo Nix to Arrowhead or Bo Nix to Baltimore. Like that number is gonna be unbelievable.
It's got to be at least 9.5, right?
I would think so. Maybe 10.
Yeah, it feels like
you got a little rookie first playoff start tax on that.
I mean, there's a chance that it's Jacksonville. There's a chance it's Denver, the Chargers, Miami, Houston. The 6-7 seeds could be some weird teams.
It could be good, but right now it's tracking not. It's going to be interesting.
Let me ask you guys a couple more questions, and I appreciate you making time. I know you have your halftime show, the deep dive halftime show between the Rams and Vikings after the first 2 quarters, obviously. Andy, you can go first. Which team has impressed you the most from where you were in the preseason to where you are now? It doesn't necessarily have to be the team you've upgraded the most, but which team has impressed you the most from your preseason priors to where you are now?
Oh, yeah. And the team I upgraded the most. I know this answer was Minnesota, just based on it's like Sam Darnold. What are we doing here? So I was high on that defense doing well, vindicated in that, but man, Denver and Washington. And a lot of that has come down to how Jaden Daniels played. And, that number looks a little different this week with the Flying Hawaiian, but Denver has really kind of changed my mind. I don't know. I was really out on Sean Payton, and I think I'm wearing the tinted glasses of his fight with Russ. Maybe he was right. I don't think we see lucky Russ again. That was a pain in the ass second half, watching him bounce balls over defenders to guys. But, maybe Sean Payton was right. He's got, between him and Vance, they get that defense playing really, really well. Nix is not good, but he's coming along, and the running game is good enough that, they're able to scrap together some sort of offense. I had that team as like, I don't know what I had positive about them in the preseason. I mean, we were like, Patrick Surtain's really good. They got like the 5th quarterback in the draft after 12, 13 picks. They got the scraps. We think this might be a really bad team. And, currently they're kind of middle of the pack for me right now. And same thing with, Washington. That defense was trending to be so bad. And then you throw a rookie out there with kind of a bad offensive roster, and Daniels really, a quarterback makes a big difference. That helps quite a bit.
True.
I agree with Andy in general in terms of who I've upgraded the most, but I'm going to go in a different direction here and say it's the Baltimore Ravens for me. And this is going to fly a little bit in what we were talking about when we were going over Browns Ravens as a matchup. But I thought the Ravens were a bet against this year. I thought this is a team that looks on paper like they are going to take a step backwards. Last year was kind of the perfect year for them to make the Super Bowl, and they didn't. Like now they're going to have to probably go on the road and do it against Kansas City. Like if you couldn't do it as a 4-point favorite at home, how in the hell are you doing it, as a 4-point dog on the road?
Are you still there in the playoffs though?
Well, that's kind of where this is where I'm going with this, which is I was against Baltimore preseason. In fact, my numbers basically said like it doesn't matter who you bet in the AFC North, just lay the price on Baltimore. Like go against them, right? Like that's the bet to be made.
I remember that we built a synthetic
Yeah.
price against
Right. Yeah.
Baltimore.
That was I ultimately was just like I couldn't figure out a good way to get that down without like tripling the VIG, so I never did it. But now as I make numbers, like they basically have the AFC North. I mean, yeah, they basically have the AFC North one by my numbers currently. I think, and again, like I've downgraded their defense from where I thought they were going to be preseason, but the offense upgrade is for real, and it's mostly just because of the quality of play of Lamar. And the fact that he is skinny Lamar now, and he is faster, and he is willing to press the run button at the right times in games, and is able to utilize his speed. Like as long as he is healthy, my championship equity for the Ravens went from pitiful enough that I was just kind of considering them a non-factor to meaningful enough that I'm going to end up talking myself into the Ravens again, I think.
Well, if Derrick Henry helps. And I think the biggest issue going into the season that I had with them was that they were rotating 3 new offensive linemen.
Same.
Guys, their old line coach died.
Yeah, they're like, yes.
This is such a question mark for me. And yet they have found a way to make it work. I think my big fear, though, and Andy, you brought this up. My big fear is that they're going to get into a big playoff game and Lamar's going to throw it 45 times, and they're going to go away from everything that worked.
If they pull that shit on me again.
If they haven't learned their lesson, I don't know what we'll teach them. But like, help me understand, how can a guy like Lamar be an absolute mensch on Monday Night Football when the lights are the brightest, when everybody is at home, and all the games have been played, and we are sitting down to watch Monday Night Football, and he just is superlative in these games. And then you get to the playoffs and he has a little bit of, bubble tummy, and he all of a sudden can't kind of run the offense the way he normally does, right? Like the Raiders feels like he gets in his own head in these playoff games, and I don't get it because like in the primetime games, the guy shows up and balls, and so yeah, I think right now at least I have the Ravens as the number 1 offense in the NFL. It's a small margin over the Lions, but it's a big margin over the next best team in the AFC. So I'm happy being in some way bullish that the Ravens can light the lamp this year.
You know, it would be a fun narrative, because they're only 1 game out of the 7th spot. Is 2. Let's say the Chiefs just keep getting lucky, win 13, 14 games, take the 1 seed. A 2-7 could be a Harbaugh Bowl.
Ooh, that'd be fun as hell.
Can you imagine?
That would definitely. It's definitely realistic.
Oh, it's super realistic. I think.
Oh God,
losing.
I can see it now. Chargers will have the ball. It'll be like 4th and 1 at the 35, and Jim will punt it. Jim will find a way. He'll pin Lamar back inside the 3.
Little conservative.
Lamar will have to go. Oh, well, he kicked 2 field goals against Arizona, and that's why they lost.
True.
Wow.
It's true.
I still see that play. Well, I see a couple plays in my nightmares. The triple coverage pick by Lamar, and was it Zay Flowers who reached for the goal line and had it knocked away against Kansas City?
How do you rate their defense, Drew? Because I worry that I'm kind of with you here too. I worry that my defensive number is too low.
Yeah,
because they've become a team that you can throw on a lot, because they're leading and you can't run on them. Like, honestly, I did a little comparison to the good, 15, 20 years ago Rams run defense. Like, this run defense isn't that far off.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a pretty historic run defense, and teams are forced to throw. So I feel like some of those numbers are a little out of context, and I have this defense ranked lower than I should. And this might be, a truck.
I came into the season with them close to number 1, and now they're number 7. But it's really the coverage grade right now, which I have kind of effectively league average, and it might be trending down. Right, like I had their coverage rated as like 80th percentile coming into the season. I'm at 50th percentile now, and again, like this could be a reflection of the fact that they've played a lot of good quarterbacks. And here's the other reason it's easy to be bullish on the Ravens. Like, guess who they're not playing again? Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen. Guess who they are playing again? twice the Steelers and Russell Wilson, presumably. Like another, this game against the Browns. They have a relatively good schedule to kind of flex on some of these teams. And I think the defense probably will get better as the season goes on. Obviously, losing McDonald, I think, was a big deal. And kind of having them, just
find their
bit
way
better than
with
average.
Because they lost 3 senior defensive coaches.
Yeah.
Finding their way under basically a half a new defensive coaching staff.
Yeah, I think it's still fair to have them better than an average team, but really it's the offense that's carrying them right now. And if you had told me that preseason, I would have been like, what? Come on. And then if you would have shown me the clips of how fast Lamar Jackson is moving whenever they call the designed run, I would, that's why. I get it.
If you enjoy the conversation here, this is the show you need to check out and subscribe to, the Deep Dive Gambling Podcast, wherever you catch your podcasts. And Andy and Drew do the primetime games during the week. So every Monday night, every Thursday night, you can get a piece of their brain when they do their halftime show. And I will be tuned in tonight. Here we go. Ryan Way wanted to chime in with a comment here. Mike McDonald is a legit defensive mind, I do believe.
We agree.
So, yeah. Well, that's exactly what you were getting at there. Let's see. When do college basketball lines come out? All right, let's pump the brakes. It's Thursday night.
You're not that far away.
We're pretty close.
You're not. Yeah, like it's.
I think the 4th.
Yeah.
The 4th is the first day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Probably next week.
We already got exhibition games going on. Let's see. David Fink went from listening to BetQL Daily Pod to live chicken dinner, and then I wish Corby was here for this. Can't wait for the Corby segment. Well, I'm sure Corby couldn't wait for it either. Corby was very excited.
I watched the Corby segment.
That kid with college football totals.
I didn't know about Corby. I'm following him now. That was a great.
I might have to rewind and watch that part again. Play those.
He hit 3 totals last week. I think they all won by 10 points.
Nice.
And it's just totals. And he's like, I suck at sides. But then he comes into the show today and says, I got a side I really like. I said, you told everybody you suck at sides. So we are not going to take the sides.
So he gave the fade and then the winners. I love that.
He's
man of the
he's
people.
A damn calculator, man. He's just a kid, too. He's like 25. Kid's unbelievable. He's like a calculator. He's like
he's got the energy for this shit.
Before you wrap, you got to tell me, what are you most looking forward to back in Chicago this weekend?
Oh, White Castle for sure. I can't wait to get the White Castle.
You're such a fiend for that.
Oh, that was
you
not
don't have
it
on the East Coast?
That was a 50 to 1 winner.
Okay, all right. Now that we're done crunching numbers, we can talk some shit for 5 minutes or so, and then I'll let you guys go, and you can be off the hot seat. I have looked at least the number's 4.5 over under. The amount of times I have thought about driving to Western New York, 3.5 hours to get Whitey's. Wow. That is the nearest one to my house. They don't have any in the Commonwealth. There's none, not a single one. And I have looked many times, like, I could be back there in about 8 hours if I time everything. Right? It's a Harold and Kumar plot, only I don't have a Kumar. It's just me.
We got to get you helicopter money, man.
It's funny, too, is when you don't have it, you want it. So, like, a guilty pleasure food of mine is Papa John's. Like, it's certainly not great pizza, but it's good. I like the chewy crust. I like the butter dip. Yeah, it's.
I was gonna say, what do you do? Garlic dip,
God.
like at
the barbecue chicken pizza. Oh my god! So the guy who owned all the franchises in my town shut him down. So it's like two hours to go get a Papa John's. I mean, we were on vacation, on a beach house out in the Atlantic, and the one night we'd been eating seafood all week, and the one night my wife's like, "Hey, I saw a Papa John's in the strip mall by the Publix." We were driving in. She's like, "Do you want to order a pizza?" I mean, we're on a family vacation ordering pizza because it's like, oh God, that sounds good. I haven't had that in years.
You guys are naming super specific things that there's no substitute for.
I also can't make up
chewy,
my
rubbery
love.
Crust.
I mean, you can't. I mean, you ask me, I say White Castle right out of the chute, like no hesitation.
No hesitation.
I mean, I'm gonna go get a good thin crust pizza from Palermo's or Phil's. I'm gonna do that, but I'm mostly excited. Like, I got in the Uber to come out here, and we passed one, and I almost called an audible. I almost said, "Hey, let's just pull in here for a second and let me get a 10-sack." Yeah, the White Castle, and then I'm gonna go drink shots at my old bar tomorrow. I mean, I'm excited. Throwing darts with the boys and gambling on the World Series. What's better than that?
That sounds fun as hell.
What's the haunt? What's your local? What's your joint?
It's called PhD Pub on Roosevelt and Halstead. It is the home of the bartender. We used to bartend together.
Bartender.
Did I ever tell you how that story started, by the way?
No.
He used to sit in the corner of the bar. We worked Saturdays and Sundays together, and he didn't have apps. This is 2017. It wasn't even legal in Illinois. And he would fold an old Sun Times over with a pencil and circle stale lines on Sundays and, figure out what he liked. He'd go 1-2 or 0-3 every Sunday. And then when I finally realized that he was made to be a bit, Breeze was at home. Saints were 8-point favorite or something against the Chargers. And he goes, "Oh, Saints are a lock tonight." And I said,
Revenge angle for Breeze, obviously. Yeah.
Interesting. Chargers won the game outright. Handily. It was like 2017, 2018. And he comes out with the L word on a Monday night game. Breeze doesn't lose in the dome was the handicap.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Especially against his former team.
That's right up there with Niners want revenge.
Yeah. Well, that too. And losing your mojo if you bet Detroit or Dallas.
We did.
So I bet Dallas.
My poor wife.
I know. I'm lucky to still be married.
Yeah.
Well, just get her a Papa John. She'll be fine. But not only did he say, Breeze doesn't lose in the dome, he went ahead and he correlated that with I have to lay 8 points. Not just they're going to win the game, they're going to win and cover the game. So that night I knew that he was special.
Just been blessed since.
Oh, he's the best. Last thing, Drew, will you please give Andy an honest review about the wing joint in Vegas?
Yes, it
I
was
saw a picture of it today on the feed.
Sincerely the best wings that I've had. Was it garlic parmesan? What were the ones that were not
Cajun
saucy?
butter?
Cajun butter. Oh my God, they were good. I am usually one that steers towards a non-saucy wing anyway. And holy shit, they were good.
Yeah, the place is a dump, though. It's a dump. You walk in, there's cigarette smoke everywhere. Somebody's smoking a cigarette out of a hole in their throat.
Yeah,
it's a Bills bar.
I thought for sure I was in the wrong place.
It's a Bills bar.
Remember, you told me, you're like, I wasn't sure I should be here.
But the wings are solid.
Right? Like, is he playing a prank on us?
Yeah.
Yeah, ninth grade at 9 o'clock kind of shit. Yeah, just keep driving. You're almost there.
Super good. Yes, that was absolutely a fantastic recommendation.
Well, if we make it back to Bet Bash, I know Andy's having doubts about going next summer. I'm actually not.
I'll go. I love Bet Bash. There were so many nice people. Everybody was cool. Like Bet Bash was fun.
It almost killed him, but whatever. We'll go back.
Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah, we got super bad COVID though. I forgot about
I will drag you. I will drag you to the wing joint, but we have to go on an off day. We can't go on the Thursday, Friday because we got other things to do. But if we go on like a Wednesday, yeah, we'll do it. I'll buy. How about that?
I love it.
I'll fly out early.
Oh, all right. That's Andy Molitor, Drew Dinsick, the Deep Dive Podcast. You can find it wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find it on YouTube. And we will be listening tonight at halftime between the Rams and the Vikings. Gentlemen, thank you for making the time.
Best of luck.
Andy and the Whale. Chiming in, chiming out on Chicken Dinner. All right. I will be looking forward to that because I don't really do second halves. These guys are they're pros. They know what they're doing. They've been doing it a long time, and they do it for free with the second half plays on the Deep Dive Podcast. All right. We're doing things a little bit backwards this week. I appreciate you all listening here. I'm in Chicago on remote. I'm going to put the picks up on Chicken Dinner a little bit later on tonight. You heard the 3 totals from Corby. Andy was talking about the total. He gave out 48 today. A little tough now with the line coming through 47 for Vikings and Rams, but fun to be able to do the show, even with all the moving parts and the lack of good equipment and all that stuff. But we did it for an hour and 4 minutes. And thank you again for getting this subscriber count over 1,000, getting the views over 10,000. And we're here every Thursday, 7 o'clock Eastern, rain or shine or travel or delayed flight, whatever it is. We'll be here for you. We'll talk to you next time right here on Chicken Dinner.